Hey everyone, welcome to Watch This Bitches. And this is part 2 with Tina Wesson, and where she talks about All Stars and Blood versus Water. And yeah, she's an incredible woman. Please enjoy.
So what was it like playing with Katie?
Yeah, thank you for asking. And how old are you?
I'm 23.
23. Okay. Because I was trying to remember how old she was when she played. So that was that in 13?
Yes, I believe it was 2013.
Okay, so that was 10 years ago. So she was 26.
Mm.
And Katie, she lives in New York City, in Manhattan. She doesn't like bugs. She's not an outdoors girl. She did this for me. She went and played Survivor for me, and which I'll be forever grateful for her for that. And we have so much fun together. And it was so funny because there were 2 instances that I'll tell you about that were kind of fun. So the first night they load us in these boats and they take us to these islands and just drop us off. And it's at nighttime. And we're like, well, what do we do now? This is a weird way to start Survivor. We didn't know what in the world this was about, but they just wanted us to, I don't know, do something different. And we just sat up and we laughed. We had a camera guy in camp with us. And so we just sat up all night, sat on the shore there and just laughed and giggled and had the best time. Whereas, like other people was like, well, should we build a shelter or what's going on? And it's kind of scary out here at night by yourself. And so we didn't make for good TV for that. And then remember the challenge where we're on a floating thing out in the ocean and we have the battling rams?
I was going to ask about that. Yes.
Okay. So Katie's not a very athletic girl, but she weighed more than I did. And at one point, she had me down on the ground with that battling ram.
It was a good battle between you two.
And I started licking her feet. And we're laughing. And Jeff was like, girls, this is serious, because he doesn't want people to be having fun out there.
Right.
He wants it to be portrayed as this is. Yeah, it's hard. Like
Really?
when we had the fire in Australia, like, oh, are you afraid that everything's going to burn down or that you're at risk? And I'm like, they didn't have to cross the river. We're fine. So they want people to be dramatic, but I don't know how to be dramatic. And all I know how to be is me. So they would ask me, could you be a little more open? Because I wasn't super open either with my gameplay, because I feel like anything that I revealed, like if I said, CG, she's a little threatening, because then they might, whenever they go to interview you, they might say something like, well, CG, you're a psychologist, which means you can analyze everybody and everybody knows that. Do they think that they will find you a threat? So I didn't want to tell the producers anything, because I felt like it could be used against me. So whenever I went back to play, they asked me, Tina, could you be a little more open? I said, this is me. This is who I am.
I've asked every contestant or guest that we've had how much, because it's, it's still regulated. It's a game show. We understand that. But how much do producers influence, or they leave out how much fun you guys are having? They're leaving out the comedy or the laughter or the joy. They're specifically creating, because they are still creating a
good TV
story that is dramatic, and that is the thing that gets people really into. They're so invested in the show. But how much do you think that I mean, and that being said, from season 2 to season 27, I guess it's 27, right? Blood versus Water. I was shocked at the way the tribal council went. He's forcing you all to, well, I guess you're asked, you have to tell your game and your strategy during tribal. I've noticed like flat out. I mean, it was a completely different game compared. How did you feel going into those, knowing that the shows or the seasons were so different? You had a different strategy, maybe?
Mm-hmm. I did not have it. I still wanted to play with my heart, because that's one of the things that I said. I said, I want to play kind. I want to try and not say anything ugly about anybody. And so the producers make it very difficult. On second season, on Survivor Australia, there was Maria Baltazzi was a producer, and she was a dream. She was so good, and I loved her, and she was very mothering. The night that we had our flood, she sat out in the rain with us. She didn't have to. She sat out in the rain with us because she's like, if they're suffering, I'm going to suffer. But then the other field producer, John Feist, I dreaded when he was going to be the guy asking our questions, because they ask very leading questions like, so Tina, is Cal an officer and a gentleman, or is he a liar and a thief? So if I said Cal's a liar and a thief, you don't see that I was given a choice between the two. You just hear me saying, so a good producer will, bring out the drama in the way that he asks his questions.
Right.
So you have to be kind of on your guard whenever you're playing. If you're wanting to play a certain way, you have to just be really careful.
Yeah. I mean, all of entertainment, film, television, it's all a manipulative medium, and basically telling the audience what to feel in any moment. So when you're in the hot seat and a producer's asking this question and you want to please them, that's make good sound bites, good TV. Do you feel like once you've seen your edits, do you feel like there was a lot that was left out?
Not really.
Not really.
Not at all. I understood by the time I got to the third time I played, that was the first time that I kind of had that aha moment, like, oh, this is a TV show. Because I'm going out thinking, this is a game show. It's a game. It's a contest that I have to win. Mm-hmm. And I never really thought about the TV aspect of it, that I might have a responsibility to CBS.
To give good face, as Madonna says.
So I think I tried a little bit better on that third season to maybe try to give a better soundbite than I normally would. But I don't feel like that, like some people say I was a product of bad editing. No, like Jerry said that. And so she really was difficult. And people who are portrayed as lazy, they're not going to take someone who really works hard in camp and make them out to be lazy.
Right.
So they do a really good job of portraying everybody as who they are.
Right.
But people who say that they didn't, it's because they don't see themselves.
They don't like the way they were shown. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this season, I had never seen a Redemption Island. What was that experience like? Because you kicked ass, and but I had like questions. I was like, where do they get their food? Do they still have to get their food? Like, I didn't get all of that details.
Okay.
I was
because they didn't show it. They didn't show that.
Okay.
So we had that one little bitty hut on this teeny tiny island, and we had a flint. We had matches. No, we had a flint. We had our pot, and we had a container of rice. So we could eat and boil our water and all that stuff. But I felt like a caged lion, because like when I went to Australia, I went every day for miles and went on walkabouts to explore the outback. And I could do that on before I was voted out to go to Redemption Island. There was a beautiful place that I would walk to overlook the South China Sea. And so I would go for sunrise and sunset every morning and night. But on this little island, I mean, it was maybe 50 yards. And so I would pace like a cat.
That's
just
tiny.
up and down. There was a rock. I would touch this rock and go touch that rock. And Laura Moret, who I was stuck there with the entire time, she could sleep 23 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
And when you go on a trip, like a long airplane ride, if you could just sleep, it makes the trip not so long.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And you just could not do that.
No, I could hardly sleep. So I had hours and hours. It's so bad that, and think about this, I have never in my life ran out of things to think about. I ran out of things to think about. I had to say, what do you want to think about? Think of something to think about. I couldn't even think. That's how bored I was.
I guess that's the point of, Redemption Island, I guess, to break you down a little bit and make it as like a punishment since you did get voted out. But that just sounds awful.
It was awful. Now, I loved the aspect of not having to play the game, as far as feeling like everybody's after you and the psychological torture break that goes along from the game. I love that. Like, I could be out there by myself. I loved that aspect of it.
Were you able to eat pretty much as you wanted to because you didn't have to ration the rice for the later people? Or was it still the aspect of given a certain amount for all of Redemption Island and you have to be cognizant of that?
Yeah, we still had to watch how much we ate. And I could not eat. Like, first of all, I don't really like rice all that much. So I would boil it and then I would put it in the pan and make it real crispy. I'm sure I cooked any nutritional value out of it, but I couldn't even eat what I had. So I would get half of mine to Laura and she would eat the other half of it.
Wow.
I can only imagine eating rice every single day for
3 tablespoons. That's all you got in Australia. It was 3 tablespoons.
A day or twice a day?
Twice a day if it doesn't rain. If it rains, we couldn't boil our water, so we didn't eat.
That's amazing. We ask everybody, like, have you been able to eat rice since?
I eat mine with butter and sugar. It's the southern type of rice. It's like a dessert.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I watched your last, just this morning, actually, your last, you were building a tower with blocks and it was like nail biting and Katie was crying because it looked like the other like all of a sudden he was about to win and it just came down and I was like,
yes,
because I was like, she did it. It's amazing. and that season had some, because I haven't been able to see everything, but I had watched all the recaps and I was able to see some of the, who's the gentleman? Is it Carlton? Who was that?
Colton.
His name?
Oh, Corcoran?
Colton.
Colton.
Where he was screaming at somebody and he quit for a second.
In his first season, he feigned illness to get taken off the show because he didn't actually want to quit.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was so, I was like, this is just like very, very exciting. And people, it's just a very big difference from how, I guess, the energy of the show, maybe in production value or just how people are playing now. What do you think is the biggest difference between season 2 and your last season?
Yeah. Well, it was, and you do not see a lot of what happened on that season because it was so ugly. It was so mean and vicious and ugly because Brad Culpepper just rubbed people on his tribe the wrong way. And I mean, the things that were said were like, oh my God. They of course they didn't show any of that because it was so bad. It was so ugly. And I think because you have a loved one there, that you have a sense of protection with your loved one, and it amped up the energy and the significance, I guess, of every challenge. And so there was more to lose. So I think just the intensity of that season was so incredible.
Right.
I was going to ask, was having Katie in the game, obviously you said you guys had so much fun, but did it change the way you played the game a little bit? Obviously, because there was more to lose. Like, in any of your plans to get to the end, was she always a factor in them, or did you picture an end without Katie, or how did that change the dynamic of how you played?
We talked about it before we went and played, and I knew that we weren't going to get to play together. I knew that they would separate us. And I had hoped that we would both make it into the merge and get to play together. But we both decided that if we ever needed to cut each other loose, we would do it. That we're there to play and let's play. And of course, no hard feelings. And, and I wanted her to do well. And so, and I will say, I felt better having her out there because, and that's another thing that's kind of odd as a psychology person. Like up until about a year and a half ago, I would probably dream about Survivor maybe twice a week. We're talking about 20 years.
Right.
Twice a week, I have dreams about Survivor. People trying to get you. They're going to vote you out. It might be at a challenge. I have a lot of Jeff dreams that are strange. So I think that last game, I didn't feel quite so not attacked, but like people are out to get you. They're going to vote you out. They're talking about you. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel that as much for some reason because Katie was there.
Interesting. I mean, and also you're already a winner. So there are people flat out saying they're winners. They shouldn't have any right to be here. I think Jenna said that on the All Stars.
Right.
It was like, yeah. Well, it's just like, woo, I always think of like, is that really what you're saying? Or is the producer? I'm so cynical.
Right? No. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's real. No.
Yeah. They don't tell you. They've never, ever said, say this.
Yeah.
There's nothing scripted about it.
Right.
It's just,
they would lead you to what they wanted a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I wish I could think of a good example. Like I would pay attention to the questions that they were asking me to see if I could figure out, well, why are they asking me this question? Are they asking me this question because they've talked to somebody else? What do I need to be paying attention to?
Using some psychology skills.
Yes. There. So I knew if I was doing that, then I needed to be careful what I was saying.
Right.
I think was something you just, when you said that you were dreaming about it, because you have dreams of people trying to come at you. It's a very small version of it. Well, Jeff said he had PTSD from the experience, his last experience.
Yes.
And there's very good reason for that. But that we have experiences where, the idea that the body keeps the score, those emotional experiences are ingrained in us. And then for you, you actually won. So what was it like to actually win $1 million? Did your life remain the same? Did you I got to ask that question, like all of a sudden, and I know there's taxes and such, but was it, you don't have to reveal too much, but that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it was very cool. So you make 530. Yeah. 470 goes to Uncle Sam. I bought a house. Woohoo! Put my kids through school. But like I said, it's the money that you make after. And because I've never had, I don't want to say I've never had a real job, but I have played. I was a recreation major in school. So all my jobs have been fun play jobs. So I never had like a big retirement fund or, I wasn't going to get any type of pension from any of the jobs I ever had. So I was able to put a lot of money back into a retirement fund. And so that's what I've got now to live off of now that I'm
invested
retired.
in investment account. Yeah.
It's a smart way to do it.
It's very smart.
So that was really, really, very appreciative of that. And I'm not I don't need things. I just want to go and do and have fun. I mean, my mom says that I have Peter Pan syndrome, and I probably do. But I don't care. It's fun.
Well, and as you just said that, I just have to comment for our listeners. Tina is sitting in, I guess it's like a sunroom, and
It's gorgeous.
the
I was
sky's been
about to
going down,
say.
and all of a sudden, I don't know if I'm seeing the moon or a star.
It's a
And
moon.
it's the
Or
moon
the
behind
moon.
you,
Yeah.
and the
Moon.
sunset. And
Yes.
I don't know what state you're in. Where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, okay.
So I live in North Carolina, but I drove here day before yesterday and to pick up my mom, and then we leave on Friday for China.
I was
Well,
gonna say it looks like a painting behind
I-
you. It looks
It's
so
so
pretty.
pretty.
It
Yeah,
really is. And I
it's
was like,
gorgeous.
when you were saying Peter Pan, I was just picturing Peter Pan coming as Wendy and John and Michael are going to bed. And
Yes.
they're like, let's go to Neverland. I'm like, it's right
Yes, let's
there.
do.
Captain Hook. He's right there.
Absolutely.
I have a question, just being a fan myself. You said you've watched all the seasons since yours, and you watched leading up to Blood versus Water. When you got on to Blood versus Water, were you a little bit of a fan seeing the people you got to play with? And subsequently, who were some of your favorite people you've ever played the game with?
Okay, good question. I wasn't a fan of anybody that I was playing with. It was more so like sizing people up, like you talk about Colton, and I knew that he had quit his season. I don't do well with quitters, but he latched on to me, and because I guess the mother figure, and he really was trying to get me to play his game. And I just wasn't having anything to do with it. And he was getting so frustrated, and he was miserable from the get-go, just did not enjoy being out there. And being separated from Colton from Caleb.
Right.
Yeah, Caleb.
So he didn't know that they were going to be separated, maybe.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And because nobody would play his game, he was not happy. Laura,
Rupert's wife?
yeah, Rupert's right, Laura. She was like a little bit of a fish out of water. Laura Moret she's a character. I'll just say she was playing her game. But then you had Aris, who I loved Aris. I really, really loved him. And I wanted us to have an alliance and thought we could go a long way. But Tyson, oh, I knew Tyson was trouble, trouble, trouble. And Jervis, he was just hysterical. So the three boys, it was like you were talking about what do they leave on the editing floor. If they had left on screen what went on at camp, it would have been a hit comedy show because I have never laughed so long and so hard. Everything, I don't care what you said, those boys would turn it around into something that would just crack you up. And so at night, I always had that game that we play high-low. Okay, tell me your high for the day. Tell me your low for the day. Well, they took that as an opportunity to just tear you apart. So whatever you said your high was, they would find some comedic, horrible thing to make that into. Or what was your low? And you'd be like really sad about something that, it was the anniversary of my dog passed away right before I left. And they would make some horrible analogy of it. And we laughed so hard, so hard. So
I would
it
love
was
to have seen
actually
that.
fun.
Yeah,
I
it
wish
would be great if they put that in.
I
it would
understand,
be so
they
good.
want the drama, but now that I'm hearing you talk about this, I wish I got to see, those moments,
Yes.
because you get little glimpses of the characters, their
Yes.
real true character coming out, but they don't
Yes.
show it. I would have loved
Right.
to see that interaction between you guys, because you say in the second season it was just a real group of people and you could relate. I feel like those genuine moments would have let people relate to you guys more.
Yes.
That's a bummer.
And don't they do like behind the scenes things? Do they do
You
that?
you can find some stuff online, I think, of behind the scenes of the episodes and things.
Okay, and I've seen a few of those, and I think they're hysterical. They're
Hmm.
really funny, and you're exactly right. They are missing an element that they could put in the show that I think would be so good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this drama. It can be, well, you can have fun even if you're being tortured. You can still have fun out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And it makes for some great television, really great television.
What did you think about Jeff Probst said was one of the biggest moments in Survivor history, Sierra having to vote her mom out?
It's, uh, I think they made it pretty dramatic,
Okay. Because it
you
seemed
know?
logical to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think because, like, Katie and I are close, but it seems like Laura and her daughter, they made it to be like, it's cutting off an arm or
Hmm.
something like that. Whereas Katie and I was like, yeah, if you can take me out, take me out. And it wouldn't have been, and I did, I in our challenge, by me winning my challenge, it meant Katie was going to have to leave. And she's like, Mom, do it.
Mhm.
So, but it wasn't dramatic. It was a little sad. We had a little
Right.
sad boohoo moment, but it wasn't like dramatic. I
Right.
don't think. I don't know if it made
Right. Well, I think it was
seem
dramatic
dramatic.
for them. You could see they were just both sobbing. But I like that. I like to think my mom and I would do the same thing, going in with the mentality. It's like, Mom, you got to get booted for me to win. Like, you're out of here. Sorry.
I know you're picturing all of this, CG, this whole
I'm like,
mother-daughter thing. She keeps like,
I think me and my mom should go on The Amazing Race. I thought that would
Yes.
be very fun. But I love hearing how you and Katie had their relationship, just to be like, yeah, Mom, like if it's gonna get you to the end, I'll go, And I just think that's a great way to play the game. Like it takes some of the drama out of it and makes it just a fun experience that you guys can remember
Yes.
and talk about for the rest of your life, which I
Right.
love hearing the behind the scenes parts of this.
what was
Yeah.
it like once you won Redemption Island? It was Sierra was like, calm down, Tina, you're talking to Monica too much or something. There was like how you were trying to flip her they made a big deal out of that in the edit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I felt so bad because Monica said she felt bullied by me.
Oh no.
But what I didn't know was I didn't know that Monica had an alliance with the guys. And so she would come over and she has a very low projecting voice. And so she would come over and talk strategy with me. And I'm like, they can hear you and you're jeopardizing my game. And stop doing it. And she kept on and on. And I was getting really frustrated. So I'm sure it did come across as me bullying her, but I was just trying to get her to not
Keep
talk
your
to
game
me,
in
Yes.
control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I did feel bad because I don't want to bully anybody, but and then it was like, it wasn't until after I watched the season that I'm like, well, no wonder she had an alliance with those people.
Right.
I think it's amazing. It's such a fascinating like human experiment that when you break these things down and then you're doing it every day and you're on thinking about strategy and people, and it's like this constant vigilance that it creates. By the end, you are creating a lot more drama. And like I said, the tribal council, Jeff flat out is asking you to explain, like you're outing yourself to people constantly in the tribal council,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think was normal in the first few seasons, right? People were keeping things
and you
close
have
to
to
the
be
chest.
careful.
Yeah.
You have to be real because it's Jeff's job. And I think it was All Star. Jeff was getting really like he didn't like it if you evaded a question.
Mm.
He didn't like it if you didn't answer it in a way that he liked. And he was nasty. He was nasty to us. And I think that he got called out because everybody who goes into play, one of the big excitements is getting to meet Jeff for the first time. And, you know, he's up on this pedestal, but he was being a nasty person. And I think he got called out. And so by the time I went back for season 27, he was back to being the Jeff that we all know and love. But you have to be very careful because he's like another player in the game, you know, so you have to
right. So his commentary can influence.
Yes.
Right. Because he knows everything that's going on, everything that you guys don't know. So he's trying to poke and get you to reveal your game and information.
Yes.
Never thought of that. Had never thought of that. That's a great.
So you have to be careful and not answer, like, even lie. If he might ask you a certain question and you just need to lie, because if you answered it truthfully, you're in trouble.
Wow.
Right.
Well, we're coming to the end, but I just have to have a couple more questions. We've probably touched on it, but what life lessons did Survivor teach you? Anything you carry with you today, I'm sure.
Yeah. The things that I've mentioned, just what my true grit is. I know how tough I am, and everything's relative. There's nothing that I can go through in life that I can't compare it to something harder. And it seemed not quite as terrible.
Right.
And I think our last and biggest question, which I love to ask this question because I like to think of it as you're giving me some advice. But if you could tell your younger self anything right now, what would you tell them? What advice would you give her?
Mm-hmm. It's not about you. Life is not about you. Life is about what you give to other people, how you treat other people, what you do for other people, how you interact with other people. You know, I love the fact that I won Survivor, but I'm more proud of the fact that I did it without having any votes cast against me, because it tells me, Tina, you're doing life right. You know, whenever we die, you know, you're not going to have a monument in your name. You're going to be remembered by how you treated other people. And those are the people that are going to be at your funeral service, you know? And so my life is not about me. I don't have anything about me that I wake up with and I want this, or I want to do that, or me. You know, it's like we went to lunch today at Chipotle, and there was a guy sitting beside us at lunch, and you know, my mom strikes up this great engaging conversation with this guy in Chipotle. And I just love the fact that, you know, we're having fun in life by having these engagements with other people and taking an interest in other people wherever we go. And it's just fun. Life is just fun.
I think that comes from self-love. If we have true self-love, then we have that to give. And those that have a difficult time being of service to others, or thinking in the mindset that you're saying, like, it really isn't about me, might be lacking some self-love. And in that respect, if you find that you're acting with self-centeredness, it might be time for one to actually think about how kind are you to yourself? Because you can only be as kind to other people as you are to yourself.
Exactly. And, you know, I don't think that I'm at a place in my life that I've been here my entire life. I feel like, you know, anytime there is something that's out of balance, I'm like, okay, what's out of balance and what can I do to fix it? Every New Year's Eve for New Year's, I'm like, okay, am I working too much or too little? Am I playing too much or too little? What are things that I need to change or focus on this new year? You know, I just want to be the best version of me that I can be. And that's my goal.
I love it. On that note, thank you so much. Tina. I'm so glad that you were able to do this. And man, it's just been a joy to watch you. And yes, the queen of Survivor, the first winner of Survivor. We're just
we
so
are
honored.
honored to have you on here. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I know you're preparing for your trip and everything, but this has truly been so much fun. And I'm so grateful we had the chance to talk to you.
Yes, we can all take a lesson. Yeah.
You're so sweet. Well, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're I think
I've converted her into a Survivor fan now.
It's just wild how many different twists and turns they come up with to the point, because and you know what we've learned is there's been a huge population that started watching maybe in the middle of the seasons and have never watched the first few seasons. And it's a big, I mean, you were part of something so impactful culturally. And it's really fascinating to watch the human experiment. And I just think you do it right. And some people have a more difficult time than others, but I think you're definitely an example of how one, not just in the game, but how one goes through life as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, we'll say goodbye to Tina. And with that being said,
bye, bitches.
Bye, bitches. Wait. Yeah.
You want to do it with us, Tina? Say bye, bitches
with
us?
Okay.
Sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
Bye, bitches. Thanks again to Tina for joining us. And thank you, listeners. Please follow, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you like to watch us, check it out on YouTube. For additional content and live Zooms, please head over to our Patreon. Your support very much helps us, and we want to meet you. Follow CG at CG Mirror on Instagram and TikTok, and follow me at the Melinda Clark on Instagram and TikTok. And also the Bye Bitches, it's called at Bye Bitches Podcast on Instagram. And that being said, thanks for being here, CG.
Bye, bitches.
Bye, bitches.